Started, hey, video games. I mean, the last time, because you've been on the podcast before.
I was. We got into some deep stuff.
Yeah, we talked about video games for a little bit, but we also talked about like clones.
We ended up getting into some really weird pseudoscience cells.
Yeah.
Talked about like how we're constantly changing because we literally aren't the same person because our cells are continuously deteriorating and reshaping and
yeah.
Got that.
But anyways, video games. What's your favorite game right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh man, why do you gotta do that? I love a lot of them. I don't really. My favorite game right now. I haven't played it in a long time, but I haven't had anything top it in a little bit. But probably Final Fantasy 15, or Darksiders 2, or Darksiders 1 on the PS4. I platinumed all 3 of those games.
Mm-hmm.
I loved them to death. What I actually recently got, I got a Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
And I've been
holding that controller.
And I've been playing Breath of the Wild, and I'm not new. I'm too new into it because I just started playing it a few days ago to know whether or not it's one of my favorite games. But it's really interesting.
Yeah.
I can't even really explain it. I've played it that little.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of open world. If I had one complaint just off the beginning, just at the very beginning, you don't have enough stamina to like be able to properly run around in the open world. But that's really a minor gripe.
Well, isn't that like what horses are for?
Yeah, but I haven't gotten one yet.
Ah, okay.
Or I haven't found one yet.
Yeah.
Apparently you can like find stray horses and like ride on them, but I have yet to. Like I'm literally like near the very beginning.
So I would imagine that one of the first things that you can do in that game is get a horse
or something.
I haven't played it myself, but I hear
it's really good. Honestly, I like it so far. One of my other favorite games is I play a lot of games. I really like Skyrim, but then I go all the way back. My favorite console is actually the Super Nintendo. I really like playing like Wild Guns, which is just like your typical arcade shooter. I like playing Chrono Trigger. It was created by.
I still haven't played Chrono Trigger.
You should play Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it's got a lot of playability since it has 13 different endings. And then obviously any of the Final Fantasies. Obviously, I really like. I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. It's just a beat 'em up. I like beat 'em ups too.
Actually, here's a point that I just thought about. Since you just mentioned the Turtles games and Final Fantasy, how did you feel about the product placement in 15?
The product placement? What do you mean?
The very blatant ramen mission.
Oh, yeah. I didn't care for that. The fact that
every store has an American Express thing on the front, and the fact that they're driving an Audi through the whole game.
Yeah, it's true. Honestly,
the Vivian Westwood.
Yeah, I know. Mission. There's a lot. The ramen thing, I just thought the mission was dumb. So
I just thought it was fun. Like I specifically searched for that mission so that I could
I never really noticed the American Express thing until you just pointed it out, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And the Audi thing, I knew, but it didn't bother me because what I did was I changed the paint job and everything to where it didn't even look like an Audi anymore. It looked like some futuristic Final Fantasy 15 vehicle.
Right.
So it didn't bother me too much.
I mean, it was an Audi that looked like a futuristic Final Fantasy.
It was a nice Audi.
Yeah, but
it was just different having like stuff like that you wouldn't have in any other Final Fantasy game at the time. But
especially because that game was in development hell for
ever.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure
forever. It was in development, I think, before the other ones. Before it came out for 14 and 13. Yeah.
Well, it was being co-developed because it was going to be released at about the same time that 13 was. Same with Type 0.
Right.
And they were all supposed to be like in the same world. And then 13 Versus, as 15 was called once, is Like they had this idea. It's like, oh, let's have like instead of like traditional like turn based or whatever kind of setup, it can be more
Yeah, like in
like
12, yeah.
like a Kingdom Hearts ish.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more open, which I like. I think it's even more open than Kingdom Hearts isn't very open though.
Right.
It's still pretty set.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
Spyro open. That level of open.
Sure, but at least the like combat.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's definitely not like 12.
Yeah.
Or like the older ones past like 9 or previous. Yeah. It's turn by turn.
Yeah, I actually still. I think I was telling you this the other day, but like I still haven't played any other Final Fantasy like completely, other than 15.
Should go back.
I wonder about it though.
But you want it
like it depends.
To be honest, you probably won't like them as much as just because you're used to newer games.
Right.
So you're gonna get naturally clouded by, man, this is shit.
Right.
Because now it is shit. Like,
right. I mean, I've been playing Psychonauts.
Yeah, that's true.
And like that game
is
true. Really good even now. And so like
but
sure,
some of them stand the test of time, but like I think if you were to go back, if I had to pick a Final Fantasy for you to play, you'd either have to do it on an emulator or get a Super Nintendo though. Is Final Fantasy 3, the Super Nintendo, which is actually Final Fantasy 6. That's a fun story, how the Final Fantasy numbers got fucked up. Yeah. So Final Fantasy, and Final Fantasy matchup. But Final Fantasy 2 and 3 released in Japan, and they weren't ready to be released in America yet. But then Final Fantasy 4 came out, and it was ready to be released in America before 2 and 3. And so they're like, well, we just can't call it Final Fantasy 4. And then Final Fantasy 2. Yeah. And then 5 had the same thing happen, and 6 got ready before 5. Like, okay, Final Fantasy 3. And then they switched to PlayStation because, Nintendo, this is around the time Nintendo was losing a lot of their third-party people because they're assholes. They just were. They treated their third-party people like crap. They wanted to be the king and not be able to share, but that's okay. They still dominate. Obviously, I'm playing on a Nintendo. Not my favorite console, but anyway. They were like, okay, no more fucking around with the numbers. We're just, Final Fantasy 7 is going to be released in the United States as Final Fantasy 7. I remember that happening, like, when I first found it, because I wasn't alive. Like, I'm pretty sure I was alive when it first came out, but I wasn't, like, old enough to be playing games.
7 or 6?
7. Didn't 7 come out, like, 98?
I'm looking it up. But continue.
Okay. And, anyway, so that happened. It either came out in 98 or 97. I hope so.
That's okay. I'm looking it up.
I hope I'm even close. I know. I just but I remember whenever I first saw it, and all I knew was 97.
Yes.
Okay, that's what. Okay, good. I'm glad my second thought got me, because I knew Final Fantasy 9 was made in 99. Anyway, so nerddom. I knew 1, 2, 3, and all of a sudden fucking 7.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, what the fuck happened to 4, 5, and 6? But what I should have been asking was what the fuck happened to 2, 3, and 5?
Yeah. So did 2, 3, and 5 like
they
never came?
They released 5 on the DS.
Okay.
But they never came like when they actually.
What was it called?
Final Fantasy 5.
But there was already.
There is no Final Fantasy Final Fantasy 5.
Oh man.
That's why they could do that one, but they couldn't release 2 and 3.
So 6
is 3 in America.
Okay.
It's really good.
And what console is that on?
Super Nintendo. You could emulate it.
Yeah. What's the one with Kefka? Is that like 8?
Maybe.
I'm leaning towards 8. But anyways.
That's a good one too.
Yeah. I think everyone thought that, I don't know.
That's what oh my God, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was so scared. I wanted to say 6, but I was like, I don't want to be wrong on this podcast.
So it is 6.
It is 6.
So why are there 2 6s then?
There are no 2 6s. Here, I'll read it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Google.
I will read this shit. I'll read it from the Final Fantasy Wikia.
Oh yeah, riddled with ads.
Oh my god, Jesus. 6. Okay, Kefka Palazzo is the main antagonist in Final Fantasy 6, which is Final Fantasy 3 in the America.
Right. So Final Fantasy 3, the Japan one,
Is completely
NES?
different. Yes, NES. 1, 2, and
Okay.
3 are NES.
Okay.
4, 5,
Were those eventually ported over to NES?
Nope. Because by the time 2 and 3 could have been ported, we had already had a Final Fantasy 2 in America, and it was Final Fantasy 4.
Oh no. See, because I played Final Fantasy 1, and I got
That's pretty bad.
not very far because it is so much grind. It is the most grind I've ever had to do ever.
Oh yeah.
And I did not get very far.
That was back when RPGs were just grind.
Right.
There
Because
was no
it's like,
graphics. Like,
yeah,
level up.
and you have a home console, and it's like, oh, it looks like, you know,
You can spend hours doing this.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna have to be playing this forever. So how do we get people to continue playing this while we
Grind.
make the other game? Just make them play it forever.
Yeah. Make them have to put in 30 hours of grind.
Yes. And then by the 80th hour, then you can have a story.
You can have a chance at the story.
Right. It's like, oh yay, I finally grinded to level 8. It's like,
Only
cool.
72 more levels.
You're ready to go to the second castle.
Right.
Oh gosh.
Final Fantasy 9 was like that too at the very end. You can get near the final boss towards the end on all low levels, and then shit just fucking spikes up out of nowhere. And then you just gotta waste. I probably spent like 20, 30 hours just grinding. But it took me like 20, 30 hours just to get. I mean, I took my time though. Could have been a lot quicker.
Right.
But it took me like 20, 30 hours just to get to that part in the story.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my goodness.
I'm not about that grind, you know?
I'm about that grind.
And that's the thing, yeah.
I'll grind.
Yeah, because
I hate it, but I love it.
and that's something about 15 that if you are about that grind, that game is kind of a breeze.
Yep.
Because if you're like, oh, I'm about to do this mission, my friend Brant, who was on the podcast, was telling me that like there was this one mission that before you started it, it was like, hey, we're about to go to the place where we said at the very beginning of the story that we're going to go to that place. So are you sure? Do you want to start this mission? And for me, I was like, yeah, I don't care. Let's go. Because I'm not about that grind. But
I'm about that grind.
For him, he was like, oh crap. If we're about to go to the place where the story said that this was the place that we were going, then I better start some grinding.
Yeah.
And so he was like 20 levels above everything for the rest of the game.
Yep, that's what I do. That's what I do.
And
Final
then-
Fantasy 15, I was about 20, 25 levels ahead.
Yeah.
Except for at the end, post-game,
Yeah.
and I defeated the Adam and Toys. I defeated him the legit way, and then I defeated him the cheapest fuck way by using Alterna
Yeah.
on the Ring of Lucille, which all you gotta do is spam it, and it has a chance to insta-kill.
Yeah.
And you just point warp back and forth, because it takes all your MP to cast a spell, but point warping
Yeah.
revitalizes your MP
Yeah.
all the way. So you
Or,
can literally just spam cast that
yeah.
shit till they
Like-
get sucked up. And I did all the post missions in the game that way too, because I wanted to grind the platinum as quickly as possible. And I was like, fuck it, grinding to 99. I'm just gonna use Ring of Lucille and fucking spam triangle.
Yeah. So I mean,
Probably ruined the game experience for me, but
well, yeah.
I liked it.
Mehrunes Razor.
I liked it.
Yeah. No, I mean Mehrunes Razor is also a in Skyrim is one of the like Daedric weapons that you can get,
I know.
and it has a small chance of insta kill.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, it does.
But the thing is that the level curve
It's not as
in
broken.
Skyrim is not as gigantic as it is in Final Fantasy.
Right.
In that, you know, that like dragon that's in front of the castle at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of spoilers, I guess.
Whoops. You haven't played Skyrim. It only came out in 2011.
Well, no. In Final Fantasy.
Are you talking about the one in... Oh, okay.
Yeah. The
I'm
dragon that's from the castle
Oh, at the end?
Yeah, at the very end.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. I thought dragons in Skyrim are always just
Right.
go right in my head.
Well, there was a dragon in Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I know there was.
Yeah. And that motherfucker.
That motherfucker was crazy.
Yeah, I did not kill him. I just went around because I tried for a little bit, and I'm like,
when you're walking up towards the
using
castle,
up all my Phoenix Downs.
You know what I did?
And I'm not chipping away at this dude's damage at all. So
I was about that grind.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that you're about that grind. You're like, fuck this dragon. Come on.
Granted, it was hard as fuck.
Well, yeah, but even still, like me being like, because when you start the missions, it like gives you a level recommendation,
right?
And I'm like, I'm like 2 levels over this level recommendation, and I got to that dragon, I'm like, oh no, no. So I mean, yeah, I'm not about that grind. I came here to have a good time, and I'm feeling so attacked right now, as the phrase goes. But yeah, and so that might make some difficulty in playing some of the older Final Fantasies.
Right, I understand that.
Or Chrono Trigger, for that matter. Because it's basically a Final Fantasy game, so I've heard.
Yeah, it is. But it's got DBZ art, because DBZ.
Yeah.
Artist helped with that. A writer, actually.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know if I could. Because also nowadays, like, I don't have that kind of time. You know, I'm an adult.
It's not that much of grinding. You just got to pick the Final Fantasy that you want to grind.
Right. You just out of all, 17 of them.
The other 14?
Yeah. Well, no, because there's more than that.
I know. There's X2.
Oh, jeez.
Grind X2.
Lightning Returns. I tried playing 13. I really tried. But I just...
Good on you. I couldn't. I don't like it.
You see, whenever you put a button on the UI that says auto battle, you might be designing the combat incorrectly. Which is what happened in Final Fantasy 13.
Yep.
There was a button that said auto battle. If you press that button, it would auto battle. It said exactly what it would.
Yeah.
But you're not playing a game then.
Right. It's just, it was probably for little shitheads like you that are like, I'm tired of grinding.
But that's the thing is that...
But you're not really grinding.
If you're going to make me grind, at least let me enjoy the grind.
Instead of just hitting a button.
Yeah, just hit a button and just set the controller down, walk away, make a sandwich.
Right.
Plus, you kind of want like a mobile game for the grind.
Yeah, like Clash of Clans. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's not...
I love grinding on Clash of Clans.
If you can call that a game.
Doodle jump. I love grinding me some doodle jump.
But I mean, if I had access to like a grindy... I mean, I do have access to a grindy Final Fantasy on my phone. That like Final Fantasy 3 is available on mobile. And so you can...
Is it 3 or is it 6?
They call it 3. So I don't know. And that's what's so confusing.
I love Final Fantasy. Prime example of not keeping sequels consistent.
But yeah, I started this whole train to talk about product placement in games because Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time,
does the same thing.
Also had that Pizza Hut sponsorship.
Yep.
Pizza.
Yeah. But the thing about 15 is that since it was in development hell, they kind of had to get as much money as possible.
Yeah, they did.
To just like be able to have the game exist.
Right.
And so, I don't know. After 10 years in development, they did all right.
I think they did a good job. I know that you're indifferent on it, but I like it.
I'm not so much. Indifferent.
It is not like Final Fantasy, it doesn't play like Final Fantasy.
Right.
but I enjoy
And for that,
it.
I enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah, because I'm sick of playing the same game.
Yeah, exactly. And,
I'm not like the diehards that I want the same game every time.
yeah.
I want people to take risks, and if it's a failure, you learn, and then you make a different game next time.
Yeah.
At least you're taking risks instead of just yeah.
Well, what is the best sequel? Do you think?
Fuck.
Like the best, like we did an improvement on the first game, and it made the game so much better. One example I can think of is Assassin's Creed 2.
I actually have never played it.
So Assassin's Creed 1 was like, oh, look, it's next gen at the time. Like, oh, look, the Xbox 360 and PS3 graphics look so good.
Yeah, it was all right.
And
it was
then,
pretty much like you said, just to show off the capabilities of the system.
Right. And the story had something there. And the gameplay had something there. Like, it was really cool to be able to climb anything and run around and assassinate and stuff like that. But every mission was, like, the same 3 missions. And so it was like, you start at this place. So do these 3-4 missions or whatever. And then you kill the main guy at this place. And then you go to the next place. And then you do the same 3-4 missions, and then you kill a guy at that place. And it was the same gameplay loop, just in slightly different places. And it was just really soulless. Also, the game was very gray.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And then in Assassin's Creed 2, they gave it life. There was color, and then there was a story. There was a character that you actually cared about.
Right.
Rather than a man in a hood who says some things and that's about it.
Was it also a man in the hood in the sequel though?
Yes, but the first time that you see him, he's not wearing a hood. He's not even wearing an assassin outfit.
That's cool.
He's just a rich boy.
Does he have a beast scar though?
No, he gets a rock thrown at him and gets a beast scar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like the development. That's nice.
Yeah. And so it's like already it's like, hey, look, you expanded on the thing.
Nice.
But then it also made it to where it was really rewarding to play through the entire story because the story itself carried you through all these places and made it to where the gameplay loop wasn't so nothing.
Mm-hmm. I think 2 of my favorite examples are Darksiders 2 versus Darksiders 1. The first Darksiders was already an amazing game. And they took so many elements of that and they didn't really change anything. They just improved and enhanced everything in the second one. And you didn't have, one of my biggest things, because I'm an RPG nut, I like side quests. There were no side quests in the first one.
Weird.
And you couldn't go back.
Yeah.
It was all story contingent, and if you missed so platinum in that game was honestly a bitch, because I had to make sure I got everything in one solid run. Because if I missed it, I'd have to go back. And for a couple of trophies, honestly, there was a part that was really hard. So I just made a save file and just kept it there so I could just go back to it at any time, because fuck that shit.
Yeah.
But they made it this time, it's contingent storyline again, but you can at least go back and do everything again if you want, or go back and collect things that you missed or something, But already a big improvement. The map was so much bigger. The map system was a lot better too, honestly. The controls were a lot more fluid. There was more than just like you could only have 3 weapons in that game, and in Darksiders 2 you could have like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And you could upgrade your weapons as well instead of just leveling them up. So and give them like custom stats and stuff based on what you feed into it.
Yeah.
So it was a really good sequel, I think.
Yeah.
Just continually expanded on, and I was like, holy crap, this blows the first one out of the water. And the first one's one of my favorite games.
Right.
The next one is technically a sequel to a sequel in comparison to the sequel, because I haven't played the original. Well, I have, but I didn't. Meh. The Witcher 2 to The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to begin to describe the amount of improvement.
Right.
The Witcher 2 was it was okay. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It had a lot of promise. I just think they failed on some of their quests. Their storyline was kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough side quests, in my opinion, because I'm a side quest nut. And The Witcher 3 comes out. First game I play on the PS4.
It's like, yo, dog, you like side quests?
Yeah. I was like...
This whole game is side quests.
I was like, holy shit. And for me, that was paradise, honestly. I know a lot of people are like, like some people are like, I don't want that. But I was like, yes, I can. Because I'll blaze through the storyline too fast. I love games where I can just keep playing. And the combat system was so much better, so much more fluid, so many more varieties. I actually cared about my character this time. The storyline I thought was a lot better, even though it was in some part a continuation. But it's such a good story. It stands on its own. Yeah. You can play The Witcher 3 without having any context of the first or second one and understand everything.
Yeah. I tried playing The Witcher 1 and it's
bad.
That was a slog.
Yeah,
oh man.
It's bad. It's like, okay, I'll give you an example of, we were talking about how games get worse over time. I used to love Oblivion. I can't play it anymore.
Really? I still love Oblivion.
I can't play it anymore.
It has a weird charm to it.
See, I love the charm, but you know what I'm thinking in the back of my head every time I'm playing Oblivion?
What?
Why am I not playing Skyrim? Why am I playing Oblivion?
Right.
But the biggest one that does it for me, honestly, a game that I loved so much that really got me into the RPG styles was Morrowind. Yeah. On the big Xbox, the original Xbox. That is a game, like I could still play Oblivion. I was exaggerating a little bit. Right. But I literally cannot play Morrowind.
Morrowind is punishingly bad. Like, old.
It's bad. It's so bad.
Well, yeah, because I tried to recently as well, and it was like...
I did too.
I remember loving Morrowind. And then
I wish they'd remake it, honestly.
It like started, and I'm like, oh my, that is a lot of text.
The graphics are so bad too.
Oh, everything looks ridiculous.
Everything's so choppy.
Yeah. But like that's the game.
But that was good. Yeah, it's amazing how our perception just changes when things get better. Because I remember when Morrowind came out, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
This is the next generation. Beautiful. And I went back and played it about a couple of years ago and I was like,
oh no.
What is this? What is this atrocity?
Yeah. Another game that doesn't age well, not necessarily in the RPG, is Half-Life. Did you ever play any of the Half-Life?
I played a little bit of it, but I know what you're talking about with the aging. I never beat them, but I played them enough. I know what you're talking about the aging. Right. I can't play them anymore. I can't play the first one at least.
Right. I love Half-Life 2. It's like one of the best like single player shooter stories
in your opinion,
that has ever been.
I'm sure it is, honestly. I've heard a lot of things about it. I just never at the time I wasn't really into shooters, so
it's also just like a great achievement in game design.
Really?
In that
kind of like Portal?
Yes. Okay. It's something that I really love noticing about games nowadays is that a game that doesn't have to tell you what to do, but you do it anyways.
Exactly.
And so in Half-Life, the only way to like keep going is to keep going, if that makes sense. Like you don't have to like have someone go like, all right, no, your objective is this. And then it like shows at the top of your screen. And every time that you press start, it shows you your objective there. Like, no, nobody's going to tell you specifically what to do. Some stuff's going to happen and be like, Gordon, you have to get to Black Mesa East, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wait, what happened? Okay.
Black Mesa East.
Yeah. And it's like, what even is Black Mesa East? And you're just like, keep going. And it's like, at some point it's, hey, look, you made it to Black Mesa East. It's like, whoa, cool. Like, I didn't even know where I was going. I'm glad I got here.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that it never tells you what to do. but just by simply playing the game, you are doing what to do.
Cool. Yeah, I've played a couple games like that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
But yeah, Half-Life 1, while it has those same design qualities, it is just it's sort of silly how
It's different it is. Like the contrast, is that what you're trying to say?
it's like everything happens sort of cartoonishly fast. Like like someone goes through a door and it opens like phew, and then they just like run in front of you and shoot you dead. And it's just like, what just happened? And like that was just the pace of games then, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's just like you just died. Congratulations, like it just happened so fast.
Right.
And it made it very, very hard. Enough to the point where, because I was trying to play through it, I'm like, man, I really love Half-Life. I gotta make it through Half-Life 1. But at some point, I was like, let me just do console commands and God mode this thing because I'm not gonna make it.
Right.
And honestly, there's a point at the end of the game when you get to like the other dimension or whatever. And even while playing with God mode on, I was at least trying to like kill everything. I was like, I don't understand
What's happening?
How you can play this game without cheating.
Right.
Like
Maybe that
Contra.
was a goal. Contra, you can play Contra without cheating. It's just falls hard. I mean, the first
But
two.
can you ever even actually beat Contra without the Konami code?
Yes,
Have you?
I haven't.
But yeah.
I've gotten to the last level in Contra 3, which doesn't even have a Konami code.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least in the American version.
Right, right.
The Japanese one it does. Assholes. Japanese get 30 lives, we only get 7.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Reparations. I'm sorry, that was distasteful.
Yeah, that was funny.
But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about hard games? You played them Dark Souls? It's not my jam.
I don't really think Dark Souls is a very challenging, but it's not my cup of tea.
How so?
It's just, this is gonna sound weird, it's just the lighting is too dark for me.
That's fair.
Like, I don't like games where I have to strain my eyes to see, because I'm a blind bat. I know y'all can't see that on the podcast, but I'm too blind to be squinting at the TV. So, and I think there are games that do a better job.
TV scrub.
I think that, yeah, all right, or just turn the brightness up. But
right.
I just never got into it too much. I do like hard games though. I like games that are challenging as hell.
Right.
Because I like the grind of, and I like the reward of beating it.
Yeah,
that being said, I think there are some games that push the boundaries, and a lot of them are older games actually. Back whenever they didn't give a fuck about difficulty, like
once again,
this is
like
hard.
Contra,
like Battletoads, man.
Oh gosh, I remember playing Battletoads.
It's bad. It's so
would
bad.
Never like to.
It's unforgiving. I've beaten it though. But, oh my lord, it's unforgiving.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, nobody played
those
games.
Yeah. A lot of those older RPGs are really hard too, like on the Super Nintendo, King of Dragons and Knights of the Round. I don't know if you ever heard of those, but they're like, they're 16-bit RPGs, side-scrollers, beat 'em ups, but they're RPGs at the same time. But they're hard. And it took me a long time to be able to beat King of Dragons on hard with every single character. There's 5 of them, but man, the grind was worth. Just to say that I did it, I don't know. It's just a weird. I think it's just a self thing. Like, I want to accomplish this, so I do it. Some games, like the reason Dark Souls is hard. Like whenever I said it wasn't hard, I don't mean it's not hard. Like it's a cakewalk. It is difficult, and there are some classes that you can set up that literally make it to where you are going to fail.
every time. And that's the only thing I didn't like about Dark Souls. It's not a very welcoming game.
Right.
You have to, or like Bloodborne, which is around the same. I think they're actually made by the same people.
There.
Yeah, because unless you know what you're doing,
From software.
right. If you unless you know what you're doing, then you're kind of just fucked.
Yeah.
And so you have to start the game over. And I can't remember off the top of my head if Dark Souls was like Bloodborne in this case. But one thing I didn't like about Bloodborne that made it even harder was that you died so easily. And there were so few, like it auto-saved, but there were so few moments where it auto-saved. Like I remember a couple times I would get to the last boss in a level and I would die and I'd lose like an hour or an hour and a half of progress. Like,
yeah.
I know a game's supposed to be hard, but why the fuck would I want to regrind that?
Get good, scrub.
Right. And I ended up beating it, but pain in my ass.
Right.
Bloodborne's really the only Dark Souls-y game that I've beaten.
Yeah.
Because the rest I just got tired of too quickly because it's a lot of rinse and repeat. It's like, oh fuck, go back an hour. Oh fuck, an hour later, and then it's just
yeah.
Then maybe once every few times you're like, yeah. Granted, I've seen some Dark Souls speed runs that are like, how can somebody do this? But speed gamers are a totally different thing. Speedrunners.
Yeah. Same with like fighting games as well. Like fighting games have gotten beyond me.
Oh really? They're starting to get that way with me. Maybe I'm getting old.
Well, no, it's just that like at some point
they're getting complicated.
It got past like initial strategy, let's say, but they just like upped the learning curve. And so it's like, oh, you like playing fighting games? Well, this is the state of fighting games that we have now. And if you're not at that state, then you're just going to have to learn it.
Right, you're going to have to grind until you're good at it.
Yeah.
So it's like that with a lot of first-person shooters, but there's really no way to ease into a first-person shooter.
Yeah, you just kind of
you have to know. You have to learn to get good at it because there's no way to make that easy.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Sable enjoys video games.
I know she does,
but she doesn't. She hasn't figured out like first-person controls yet, like the dual stick thing. Being, hey, like, this one moves your person and this one moves your face. But, like, doing them both at the same time.
Yeah, like a seizure, dude.
Yeah. And so it's like, unless you can get to the point to where you can walk in a straight line while making your character spin in a circle while doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walking in a straight line while turning in a complete circle at the same time.
But it depends on the game, because a lot of the times in games nowadays, if you do that while you're making a circle, sometimes it depends. You'll actually move forward and then go backward a little bit and then go back. Yeah,
you'll like kind of curve.
Or you'll kind of curve a little bit. But as long as you keep your thumb in that direction.
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually not even that, because it's like I do it the other way around. So it's like I make the camera just go one direction, and then I'll use my left stick to keep it going in the direction.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood you.
Yeah, and so it's like my character ends up walking in a straight line, but like I have to move the camera.
I get what you're saying.
Move the stick, whatever.
Yeah.
You have to connect the two things in your brain and go, these things happen at the same time.
Right.
And yeah, you just like, you do it. It might be easier with like mouse and keyboard too.
That's true, yeah, too.
They're physically disconnected things. Do you play on PC at all?
No, I don't. I just don't have a setup that would allow me to play.
See, I don't either, but I do it anyways.
Oh no, like mine would like destroy it.
Right. Well, my computer can't run Abzu, so I'm very sad about it.
I've heard it's a good game. I haven't played it though.
Yeah. Well, I enjoy like walking simulators and stuff, so Dear Esther has been buggy for me for some reason. I don't think it's because of the like high definition of the game itself. I think it's because something is buggy in the game.
Probably.
But I'm not sure. Anyways. See, story is what keeps me around for a lot of games.
No, same. That's why I like RPGs a lot.
Yeah, exactly. RPGs have excellent stories.
Yeah, they usually do. Sometimes they got pretty shitty stories, or it's super stereotypical.
Like what?
You mean like an example?
Yeah.
Odin Sphere Left Razor for the PS4. It's a 2D side-scrolling RPG in HD. It's actually made for the PS3 though originally.
What's the story?
The story is through multiple characters' perspective,
Which is kind of cool, actually.
Mhm.
Plays multiple characters, but there's distress in the kingdom, and you have to fight everybody, and it's always the same fucking bosses, and you have to battle them and try to find who you are and save the world from the corruption. And they literally call it the corruption sometimes.
Nice.
That's it.
Thanks, Beowulf.
It's a good game though.
Right, I'm
The
sure.
storyline is
Yeah.
very lackluster.
Right. That's
Or
a
it's
shame.
it's full of rebellious people like too. Like, I won't listen to you, father, because yes, in one case, the very first character, her father's the king, and he's like, I won't listen to you. And it's like, okay, rebel, typical,
Baby's first anime.
right? But it's a good game.
Yeah.
It's a really good 2D side scroller. It just has barely enough story to call it an RPG.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a JRPG though, so sometimes the JRPG storylines are pretty lackluster. Honestly,
Which is weird because,
they make them.
well, no, I mean,
Or
like,
what do you mean?
JRPGs usually have the best stories.
I know.
Like, compared to, like, I mean, Mass Effect is really, really good, but, like, I've never played a Persona because I'm not about the grind, but, like, I've heard the Persona is, like, one of the best RPG, Persona 4, at least.
Persona 5 is really good too.
Yeah, that they're, like, some of the best stories. that-
Yeah, JRPGs
Happen
produce
games.
some of the best and worst storylines.
Thanks, Final Fantasy.
Full circle.
Yeah, I really tried at 13. I was interested in the story.
Oh, dude, I couldn't make it through the gameplay. Story was alright, actually.
Yeah, but then I tried looking up, like, maybe I could just, like, watch this as a movie. And the
Doesn't
movie
work.
was, like, 13 hours itself.
Oh, you can do that, no problem.
I was like,
That's the grind.
no, dog.
I like how Final Fantasy is so much the grind. that
Yeah,
even
it
to watch
implements the
movie
grind in the story.
in the cutscene. Like, you want to watch this without playing the game? All right. I hope you have like 15 to 30 hours,
Yeah.
depending on the game.
Or like Metal Gear, which has no grind, except for the story is the grind.
Right. Yeah.
I still love saying this because, like, it's so representative of just Kojima in general. But it's like, in Metal Gear Solid 2, you finally get to the person that the whole time you were trying to get to. And then it's like, they're trying to explain everything. And so it's like, you set the controller down to watch this really long cutscene. And one, it was long enough for my console to be like, yeah, I've been doing something for a while. I'm going to, like, you know, kind of dim the screen a little bit.
Right.
I was like, no. Like, I'm still watching. Don't worry. And then it goes, do you want to save your game? And I'm like, oh, yay. I'm about to start playing again. I saved the game. And then more cutscene. I'm like, oh, geez.
It's just because I didn't want
Thanks,
you to
thanks, Metal Gear.
battle through that. I've had that happen before. I've played many games like that where you save and then there's another cutscene after the cutscene you just watched.
Yay.
Final Fantasy actually did that in one of them. I can't remember which one, but I remember playing and it was like, yay, long cutscene over, save, fuck. Another long cutscene.
But at least nowadays they're really pretty to look at.
Yeah, instead of the pixely,
Yeah, because that
Nasty
makes it a little bit difficult. The weird
yeah,
Pixel-
choppy animation and stuff. Yeah.
pixel polygon people that.
Oh no, I love Donkey Kong 64 graphics. I actually really like Donkey Kong 64. That's a game I can't play much anymore because it's actually really bad.
Is it?
It's just really buggy. There's
What about Mario 64?
Doesn't have as many bugs, but it is also pretty buggy. But it's a lot more fluid than Donkey Kong 64 too.
Does it hold up?
To me, it does. Probably not in the big scheme. Honestly, I think it does. Like, if you're talking to a true gamer, like nobody's ever going to say Super Mario 64 is bad,
right?
Unless they just don't like Mario games.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
but I think it's just like the initial wow factor that Super Mario 64 had. It was like, holy crap, 3D, real 3D, and it was kind of open-y. Like you could do whatever you want, just about. Given it was within the context of a very small space, but nobody told you what to do other than collect stars. I can do that.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool, but it's just really revolutionary. I think that's why. I think Super Mario 64 is one of those pivot points in gaming history.
Yeah.
Just like Super Mario World. While it wasn't a pivot point necessarily, I think Super Mario Bros. 3 was more of the pivot point.
I've heard people say that Super Mario 3 is like the best game ever.
Oh, it's insane.
All of ever.
It's insane. the leaps and bounds that it made. But I like Super Mario World a little bit more for two reasons. One, the totally biased nostalgia. And at least I'm honest. And the two, I think it's kind of just like a sequel to Super Mario Brothers 3, where they add more items that you can do and they add more things to do. But it simply takes from Super Mario Bros. 3. So really, honestly, that's the root of
right.
It.
Is that the one that had the curtains? Yeah. So that was another like really cool aspect of it, is that instead of like just being the game, it was sort of like the play is the game.
Yeah.
And so like all the time it's like, hey, look, here's the curtains.
Cutscene.
Play.
It's a cutscene.
Yeah. But it's like, it's all a play.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Santiago.
I'm just going to cut off right here because yeah.
Bye.
Well, no, I'm going to just like do the outro.
Bye.
No, outro, Jeff.
Outro.
Yes.
Bye.
So,
that's my outro.
Where can we find your things if there's anything to find?
There's nothing to find. You could Facebook stalk me under Jeffrey Newell, and it's Jeffrey, not Jeffery. So there you go for the little spelling people out there. And I have some recordings and stuff up there of like music stuff that we talked about in a different podcast.
Yeah.
But, yeah, or, if you ever feel like chatting with me about stuff, I'm more than happy to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like talking to people, meeting new people. So.
Yeah. And if you don't play video games, I'm sorry. This podcast is not for you.
No, it wasn't. We went on much longer. We had other topics in mind, but yeah, it was worth it.
Video games.
Yeah, it consumes your soul.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm Santiago Ramones. Here's the gesture.
I'm Jeff.
Yeah, hi.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at the gesture. My bad. Here's my outro. Bye.
You can find everything that I do on my website, santiagoramones.com. I have this podcast, which you can review if you're listening to on iTunes, Apple Podcasts. You can leave reviews and say some things. You can also just let me know about how you feel about the podcast. I'm open to that as well. I make music. You can find my composery stuff and my songwritery stuff on my website. You can download or pay money for Songs with Words demo or Red, the single that goes along with it. Yeah, I wrote some songs with words. You can buy them and listen to them. Yay. Anyways, I end the podcast with my 3 things. Those 3 things shape my life philosophy. Those 3 things are: love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong. You can say bye for like a 12th time.
No, bye.